Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far from sun.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 189. Today, we're going to be looking at our current rewatch of the MCU. Unfortunately, my little buddy Trent Hoffman won't be joining us today just because of scheduling things, but I got some input on some of the stuff that we watched. Now, again, we're taking this in a nice direction. We're going for the complete cinematic universe of the MCU, and so we've only watched a couple, so we're going to be reviewing some of those today. But man, we got a lot of catching up to do since our last Fan Expo. After Fan Expo, Trent and I went to Galloping Ghost, which is a arcade in Bolingbrook, Illinois, and it's one of the largest arcades. I don't know if it's the largest arcade in the United States. I'm not sure. No, it is a lot of fun, and we kind of do this by his birthday and around when school starts. So we try to get this in. So before school started, we went there the last day before he went back to school, and we had a lot of fun, played a lot of video games. I think we beat it was a beat 'em up game. It was like Alien Predator or something or other, and we beat the whole game, and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. It's always great to go up there. So if you're in the local Chicago area, you got to check out Galloping Ghost. Super fun place to check out. Okay, so Trent started school. So Trent and Ellie started school. We got the Trent's doing the saxophone, so he took up another instrument and is playing in the band, which has been fun. And he had a little concert right before school started, just to, wet the whistle really, and just say, hey, this is what we've been practicing for the last 2 weeks or whatever, which was super fun. Fortnite, absolute doom. So Fortnite went from Wrecked, which was basically kind of a car-based apocalypse kind of little thing, and now they went back to Marvel, and Doom is the bad guy. Kind of coincides to what they're doing in the MCU. Obviously, we don't have those movies yet, but the big announcement with Robert Downey Jr. becoming Victor Von Doom, that is what's happening here in Fortnite, which is super fun. So we're locking a combination of true Marvel characters and then Fortnite characters dressed up as Marvel characters, which is kind of fun. So enjoying that, and super, super fun. I had the privilege of going on an honor flight with my dad. So my dad served in Vietnam, and so this honor flight is a volunteer organization to get show respect to all the veterans, and have them go to DC. So I was able to tag along, and what a day. But it was blazing hot, like Mustafar hot. It was so hot in DC. We sweat a lot, but it was a lot of fun. And so got to go see DC. This is the first time I was in DC. And it was just a really wonderful experience. And we need to honor our vets who have served, and especially with Vietnam. We didn't treat those boys and girls when they came back right. And so I think there was 116 veterans on the flight, so like 7 Korean and the rest were Vietnam. And it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I got to see the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Wall, and the Korean memorial as well. And it was very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. And like I said, very hot. We got to see DC just a little bit, but it was really cool. There were 6 buses, and we got a police escort downtown DC, which was super, super cool. I don't know what they call it downtown. I call it downtown, but I don't know what they call it. So yeah, that was super fun. And then we had an opportunity to go to an annex of the Smithsonian. I forget the actual museum's name, but basically it's like aviation and flight, and they had all these crazy planes, and they had the Discovery space shuttle, which was just awesome, which was super, super cool. And then they had I think it's the SR-1 Blackbird or whatever. I don't know. It's the stealth bomber, the one before, the current one. But basically, it went from LA to DC. So, like, it flew from LA to DC to be in the museum, and it was like an hour and 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, it's fast. So, very, very fast. Very, very dangerous. But just a lot of history with aviation, which was super, super cool. They had I call it the Indiana Jones plane, but basically like a four prop propeller, plane, nice and silver. I think it's a Pan Am something. Man, it's great. And they actually had a little Star Wars here. It was a half scale drone X-wing, which Disney and Boeing partnered together to develop for when they launched Galaxy's Edge. I think there was 3 of them that flew across Galaxy's Edge, and it's a half-scale X-wing drone. And it was pretty cool. It was cool. But yeah, they had a lot of planes. So if you're in the DC area, Virginia area, gotta check out. Again, I forget the actual name of the museum, but it was pretty cool. Pretty awesome. And again, honor our vets, man. It's such a privilege. It was such an honor to do that with my dad, and it was a lot of fun. Star Wars Outlaws came back. Oh boy. We'll be streaming that very shortly here. And we just started a little bit, but this is the new Star Wars game, and it's fun. Super fun. It's an Ubisoft game. It's typical Ubisoft stuff. So we've enjoyed it so far. I mean, we barely just scratched the surface on it. So be checking out our streams on twitch.tv/Big T Little T. Football's back, baby. Bears. So obviously we're in the Chicago area, so we like the Bears, and got to see the Bears play. Caleb Williams made his rookie debut. Didn't do so hot, but the D and the special teams helped out, and we got a dub on Tennessee Titans. So football's back, and if you're into fantasy and football, it's yay, sports team. So just a great time of the year. And speaking of which, it's going to be my birthday, so always love September because got the football, got the birthday, just a great time, and it starts fall, so it's really, really fun. So looking forward to doing that. And without further ado, let's move into our main topic. Okay, so basically, Trent has seen most of the Marvel movies, and what we did is there is a, I think it's on Disney Plus, and it's just basically the complete MCU timeline or whatever. So it includes kind of the one shots and the TV shows. And so that's what we decided to do. I thought it would be a good exercise. Well, not an exercise, but just be fun to kind of go back, because there has been quite a bit of films that we've watched, which is super, super cool. And so, yeah, we really did enjoy this first kind of stretch. So let's get right into it. So what we're doing also, it's kind of like not released, but the cinematic order of the film. So it starts off with Captain America First Avenger. I know there's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season that kind of goes before that, but we're looking at the First Avenger, Captain America. We started this journey beginning of August. So we started watching them in August. Yeah, there's not much to say other than that this was super, super fun. I think Captain America holds great value because it's a period piece. And it's just fun. It's just fun seeing World War II and just the heart and determination of Steve Rogers really shows through. And I think Chris Evans just really personifies this role so much. It's kind of weird, again, seeing him as Johnny Storm in Deadpool versus Wolverine. But, like, it's just, he's really just a solid, it's just super solid. And I love the chemistry between him and Bucky Barnes. I just think it's super fun. Sebastian Shaw, I love him. So this one, we gave a 10 out of 10. So this sets up a lot of different stuff. And again, this was phase 1 of the MCU. So it wasn't like, I think this originally came out in July of 2021. Am I reading that right? I think that's when it came out. Let me double check. I might be a little crazy, but yeah, I'm trying to think when this actually came out. Yeah, so July 22nd, 2011. Jeez, I was like, 2021 seems a little far. So 2011. Okay. So, there's not much really to say that this is just really well done, really well executed. We get Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, and a great villain. It just really sets it up. Little sci-fi with the little laser guns and all that stuff, but it was pretty darn good. We gave it a 10. Both Trent and I, we loved it. So 10 T's on that one. Next up is a one-shot, Agent Carter. So this is in between technically her show and where we kind of meet up with her. Well, let's put it this way. We don't get to see her too much without the show, because again, obviously, I think we get to see her again way back in the, like, at the end. I get to see Steve visits her when she's much, much older. This is super fun because it's a period piece as well. She's kind of in intelligence, but they don't give her jobs, and then she is able to execute this job when all the guys left. This reminded me of the Pixar short too, where I forget, is it yarn or something? I forget what it's called, but basically she's like a ball of yarn, and all the guys are like these exact, like black tie suit guys, and it's funny that there's just stereotypical. And again, this is very stereotypical of like women and where that timepiece is. And I just really love that she holds her own, takes care of business, and she then Tony Stark's dad calls the agent and be like, hey, just tell her that she's gonna head up SHIELD. So this is kind of origin of SHIELD. There are a couple Agent Carter seasons. That's technically not included in the MCU for some odd reason. I don't know if it's like an ABC Hulu thing. I don't know, whatever. The next one up, actually in the timeline, is another Captain Marvel. So Captain Marvel, actually, out of the first couple that we see, are not really in that initial phase 1. This one was released March 8th, 2019. So, it's a little bit of, I think this is technically phase 3. Let me see. It's the 21st film in the Marvel. So this is phase 3 and the 9th installment of phase 3. So this is a little bit out there, but as far as the cinematic universe, it's actually the second film. And so, it's, I mean, the quick synopsis is, Journey of Carol Danvers has become one of the most Universal's most powerful heroes. With the galactic war between two alien races reaches Earth, Danvers finds herself in a small cadre of allies at the center of the maelstrom. Jeez, these synopsis is great. Which is interesting here is you have Skrull and Kree, and they did a flip. The Skrull were the bad guys in the comics, but in this instance, they are Skrulls are kind of okay. I know I'm not spoilers at this point. It's an older movie. You got to watch it if you haven't. But the Skrulls are painted as the bad guys, when in reality the Kree are. We find out that there's a little plot twist, and she's essentially wrapped up in this process of getting this super weapon, and she absorbs a lot of energy. That's how she gets her powers, and she kicking butt. This is set in 19. I think the actual timeline is like 95. So essentially, Captain America's 43, 45, and then a lot of things speed up to 1995. And I gave this an 8. I like this film. I think it's strong. I know it gets a lot of hate with Brie Larson, but I really enjoyed this film. Trent really enjoyed this film. He was laughing. He loves Goose. He loves all the things about this. And I believe we did see this in the theater. Yeah, it was fun. This is a fun one. Little 90s, she's wearing a 9 Inch Nails shirt. It's great. A little grungy. And I think they do a really good job. Sam Jackson as Agent Fury, and Agent, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Colston. That's it. Colston. They do a really good job of like de-aging them. I think they look really great. I mean, it's almost every shot, that they're de-aging him. I think most of it is makeup, because I don't think they could do CGI as much as they could. The post-credit scene, again, this is where it gets a little goofy with the end credits, because it doesn't quite align. But basically, at the end of the film, she reworks his pager to give him like a one call. Hey, if you need me, come call me, because I got to go take care of the rest of the galaxy. And that's the kind of the end trailer, or the end little sneaky end credit scene has, is basically you got Rogers, you got Romanoff, Banner, Rhodes, so they're all there. It's kind of this. I like this one. I really want. We got a little Star Wars connection too with Ben Mendelsohn. Am I saying that? He plays Tallis, and Director Keller. He's really good. He's the main kind of Skrull guy. I like it. I think it's great. We got a little Annette Bening in here as Marvel, the super intelligence. Jude Law, another Star Wars, coming up with Skeleton Crew. Jude Law is in here as well. He plays Jan Rog. So that's super, super cool. Or is that his name? I think it is. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, I give this an 8. Trent gave this a 10. He really loved this. Okay. Iron Man, the first one, way back in 2008 is when this dropped. 5/2/2008. Yeah. What can be said about this? I mean, essentially, without the success of Iron Man, none of this stuff would be possible. So I think there's just a little bit more weight. I think there's just a little bit more weight with this one, because it had to be good. If it wasn't good, none of this would have happened, and you would have never had such a big MCU universe, and I think that's what makes this one special. Again, a little Star Wars. Jon Favreau made this happen, and without his direction, I don't know, man. I really don't know. A really good book. Gosh, what is this called? There is a really good book about the MCU, and yeah, you should just check it out. And it is super, super fun. So let me pull up that title because it's worth a read because it really does go into just the whole dynamics of everything that happened with that and the MCU. And I think if you're a fan of it, you need to definitely check it out. I think it's just called. It's just called MCU, and it's by a couple different authors, but they do a bunch of different interviews and just all that kind of fun stuff, and it's super, super cool. So you gotta check it out. So yeah, you gotta check out that book if you're an MCU junkie. And basically, what I'm getting at is that there was a lot of being the first one out of the gate. There was a lot of pressure, but there also the script was constantly changing, and in fact, like at one point, even the biggest part with the cave wasn't going to be in the film, and there was just a lot going on, and it was a little chaotic. It seemed like a little chaotic, but you can't tell the execution of this film. You can't tell all the kind of drama that went behind it, but yeah, if you want to get a little dirt, little skin in there, definitely check out the MCU book. All right, next up, we gave it 9.5. Both of us, we love this one, almost perfect. It's really, really good. Iron Man 2. This came out 2 years later, so basically a real quick flip, and that's also kind of designated in that book where it's like they were kind of burnt out because it was so stressful at the beginning, but then they're like, hey, we got to do a quick flip here. So yeah, this is the third installment of Phase 1. The film was released on April 28th, 2010. Again, directed by Jon Favreau. Writers were Justin Theroux on this one. This one is pretty cool. I like. We have Pepper Potts making. She returns as Gwyneth or Pepper Pot. Gwyneth Paltrow. Don. Am I saying? I don't even know. Chudley. That doesn't sound right. But he replaces Terrence Howard as James Rhodes, and they kind of make a quick jab at it in the film. But basically, there was a contract negotiation. Terrence was really good, and as James Rhodes and going to be War Machine, but he wanted more money, and there was just a contract dispute, and I think they just was like, we're going with Don, and that happened. We got Black Widow. Sam Rockwell plays Justin Hammer, great role, and then Mickey Rourke. This is when Mickey Rourke was just hot, man. He was coming back, making his comeback here, and he plays Ivan Vanko, Whiplash, and then we also got our boy Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson. But basically, what we find out is that Tony's dad worked on the arc reactor with Whiplash's dad, Ivan Vanko's dad. They worked on the arc reactor, and so he knows about it. And essentially, he's mad because his dad died, and now he's essentially he's trying to extract vengeance and say, hey, I could do this better. And Justin Hammer plays this kind of slimy weapons guy, kind of a second fiddle to Tony Stark's larger empire, and essentially he hires they kind of work together, Venko and Justin, to kind of thwart Tony. Tony is also dying with how his arc reactor and the radiation that he has and all that stuff. I really do enjoy this film. I think it's really great. We get to see Black Widow do her thing. We get to see Rhodes as War Machine, essentially stealing a suit. Then we have a kind of rock'em sock'em robot. Tony gets a little drunk at a party, blah, 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 and now War Machine is born. And then essentially we have Coulson. I always want to say with the T, but it's Coulson. They go to New Mexico, and they find it. This is the mysterious hammer from Thor. What? So yeah, that's kind of cool, and we get to see that at the end of the film. I think Whiplash is a great villain in this one. Trent and I gave this a solid 9. It was super, super fun. And this also was in the Phase 1, came out 2010. All right, next up is The Incredible Hulk. This came out, when did this come out? Now, again, this is with Ed Norton. Let's see, this came out in 2008. It's the second film in Phase 1. And this started, we got Liv Tyler as Betty Ross, Tim Roth as Abomination Emil Blonsky. We got Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, Ty Burrell as Leonard Sampson, Chris Cabot as Kathleen Spar, and William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross. Again, he's getting replaced. I want to say William Hurt has passed away. I feel bad. I don't know that off the top of my head, but that is what Harrison Ford is going to be playing in Brave New World, Captain America. So, essentially, this is technically our second Hulk. We had the Ang Lee Hulk with Eric Bana, which is a totally different film, but we already got to see the Hulk in that, and so this is another version of Hulk. I don't mind Edward Norton here. Again, if you want to read the MCU book, a little dirt on that. He just wanted, basically, from the sources, he was just a little bit too controlling on the set, and I think it just rubbed people the wrong way. Just looking to get everything right, which I get. We need to have everything right. I really do like this version of Hulk. He looks lean, mean, but he really doesn't look anything like Ed Norton, where I think they did a really good job with Mark Ruffalo. We'll get to that in a second as his Hulk. But essentially, we got Eric's, Bruce Banner is on the run, and he's trying to go in hiding. They basically say he had this kind of thing, and injured Betty and almost killed his dad. And so, because they're trying to weaponize this and with gamma radiation, and then so he goes cold. So basically Ross is hell-bent on trying to bring him in. He feels like he's a government asset. That's when Blonsky comes in and says, hey, I want to do this. And so they kind of use a super serum. I think it's kind of the Steve Rogers kind of super serum, but again, similar to Red Skull, it takes in your qualities, and Blonsky's kind of a bad guy, and Abomination comes in, and they have this big fight. It's a great fight, but at the end, Hulk and Abomination are there. There's this kind of rekindling of Bruce coming back and meeting with Betty, and I think it's good. I think they have good chemistry. They're kind of on a run a little bit. There's a great scene of Hulk and her. He's kind of hiding in the rain, and get to see kind of like a Frankenstein kind of moment where you get to see the monster, and yeah, it's just kind of cool. Yeah, I really, again, great film. Also Lou Ferrigno makes a little cameo here as the guy, and he gets pizza and all that fun stuff. Yeah, so yeah, it's just kind of really cool. And then the cut here at the end is Tony Stark arrives at a bar. General Ross is there, and they basically discuss the team they're trying to put together. Kind of leaning towards Avengers, which was obviously leaked in the first Iron Man with Nick Fury. So there you go. Kind of cool poster. There's the poster is like Ed Norton with his head down, with the big Hulk behind him. A very classic kind of duality there, which is cool. 9.5, I think, for both of us. We just really enjoyed this film. I think it's really good. Then there is 2 one-shots. There's The Consultant, 2010, which really just ties into it actually uses the bit from Incredible Hulk, but basically Coulson and another guy that's in Shield are like, how are we going to get to Ross? And the consultant is Tony Stark, which then we get to see it play out, and it all worked out. So it kind of just a little jelly in there, a little jelly. And then a funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer. Coulson has this heroic debut and takes out these guys as he's at a gas station, and just a funny little bit. Nothing too serious. Again, both Trent and I gave them solid 7s. All right, and then we got 2 more films that we watched. So first one is Thor. Thor is coming out in 2010. Again, I believe this came out in, let me double check. I believe it's November, but I will triple check. This, I believe, help me out here, Wikipedia. Yeah, this one is pretty darn good. I think, it came out in 2011, and so this is the 4th installment of Phase 1, April 27th, 2011. Film is directed by Kenneth Branagh and stars Chris Hemsworth, as Thor. We got another Star Wars connection. Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Stellan Skarsgård as Eric Slevig. Again, another Star Wars connection. Colin Farrell as Laufey, Ray Stevenson as Volstagg, Idris Elba as Hemendal. I love his character. Kate Dennings as Darcy Lewis, Rene Russo as Figa, and Anthony Hopkins as Odin. Yeah, not terrible. You get to see Thor being a little more cocky and arrogant and all that kind of stuff, but he then gets humbled because the frost giants come and all this stuff, and he went to attack them, and Odin's not happy and basically casts him out, and he lands in New Mexico and kind of loses all his powers. Yeah. But then you got the Loki, Tom Hiddleston doing his Loki thing, plays it off perfectly, basically makes a deal with a frost giant and gets him in, and then we find out he is a frost giant. He's actually adopted son of Odin, and there's a little jealousy. And so we get to see Loki kind of play both sides, and he becomes the rightful old leader of Valhalla, and because Odin gets kind of taken out a little bit. So it's super. I think it's good. There's some good chemistry with Natalie. and they kind of work their trying to understand the hammer and Norse. There's a lot of Norse crossover here with actual things from Norse mythology, which is kind of cool. It plays off really well. They basically have kind of destruction of the city of this town that Jane and her science team are part of, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. We get Hawkeye debut with Clint Barton, which is interesting. He's watching the Thor hammer. Um, but then at the end, Thor reunites with the hammer. Mew Mew. As I forget a girl's name. I think it's Kate Dennings that does that, which is super funny. And essentially, he becomes Thor, and he is awesome and takes out the destroyer that Loki sent to kill him. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But then the Slevik, Eric Slevik meets with Nick Fury and taken to the Joint Dark Energy Mission Facility, and we get to see the Tesseract. Again, this is taken from Captain America, but Loki appears in the reflection, and then essentially says, "Well, I guess that's worth a look," which Slevik repeats due to Loki's subtle influence. So Loki's already influencing pawns in his great scheme to come back or whatever. So there you go. So that is pretty fun, and that's Thor. All right, and finally, we just finished this up the other day. Avengers, the big old meetup. This came out. Let's see, Avengers is April 25th, 2012. And this is the 6th and final installment of Phase 1. And so, essentially, we have our Avengers, which are Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, and Hawkeye, with Nick Fury leading the charge. Again, I think what pays off here, we also have Mara Hill, which is Kobe Smulders. She makes her debut here. Josh Whedon directed this, and it's written by Josh Whedon and Zach Penn. This is what makes it super fun, is that you have the separate individual movies to really establish those characters. So now you're really centralizing on the plot and don't need a lot of backstory. But this is the first time that the Avengers are together. And essentially what happens is that Loki gets captured, brings on the helicarrier from S.H.I.E.L.D., and then he influences everybody to kind of go after each other and gets in each other's head, and then essentially possesses, he comes through the Tesseract as a portal and possesses Barton and Scullig, or am I saying it right? Yeah. And so they are kind of his human army, and there's a really great scene of Loki fighting Captain as they're trying to get this thing from this museum, which is super cool. But yeah, it's just a fun little bit between them, and yeah, we get, so this one, there's a lot going on. We have essentially the Chitauri. We don't get to see Thanos, but it's very much hidden that there's a Chitauri leader that is trying to bring his army in with the help of Loki. And they open up a portal using the Avengers Tower. Skullig does under the influence of Loki, and opens up a portal. And then the famed Avengers come together. There's a really great scene as Bruce Banner becomes Hulk and takes out this big carrier of the thing. I don't know if we get Avengers Assemble, but I can't remember if he actually says that. But they form up and they all get little orders, and there's a great little bit with Captain America telling Hulk to smash, and there's a little smile, and Hulk just creates mayhem. It's great. It's so good. I love all little bits about this, and then there's like this kind of conspiracy where the people behind the curtain, Nick Fury's answering to, they don't like the idea, so they want to send a nuke to New York. Tony Stark intercepts it and takes it into space, and then Cap makes a call to close the portal. They close the portal with Loki's staff, but Iron Man falls down, and there's a little funny bit of them trying to resuscitate Iron Man, but he makes it. He's alive. Everyone's happy. There's a little chemistry too with Bruce Banner and Black Widow. Coulson dies. He gets taken out by Loki, which pushes the team to come together, and we have that great little circle cam, and he smashes everything. The Hulk gets to smash everything, and we get to see kind of the human guys. Black Widow, Barton, and Widow kind of work together. There's a funny bit where Tony's like, tighten up, Legolas, and so he gets Cliff up, and we understand, Cliff is Clint, I'm sorry, is an awesome marksman. It's great. And finally, Hulk comes and basically knocks out Loki, just smashes him. He should be dead, but whatever. And then they kind of finish up. They do all their things. They do all these great team ups. We get to see them fight together and take out the bad Chitauri or whatever. And during this fight, Iron Man's like, "Hey, I never had shawarma. There's a great place. We got to go check it out." And so they're like, "Okay, we'll definitely do that after this." And they finish off capturing Loki. Loki and Thor disappear with the Tesseract, basically bringing Loki back to Isengard. And but the end credits scene is a fun one. We actually see superheroes eat, and they eat in silence, and they're eating shawarma, which is kind of a cool little place as the shawarma palace is like closing up, shop or cleaning up shop after the whole attack on New York. So there you have it. That is like all the movies we saw in the last month or so. It's been great. We're going to continue down this path, and we're really enjoying that. We gave this a 10, like a 10 out of 10. We really thought this was a really good film. And it was just a lot of fun. So yeah. So again, quick. The lowest ones are really those one shots, but we really enjoyed a lot of them. And I think, Avengers is really high and Captain America is really high. We just really like those two films. So there you have it. So that's kind of our phase one, if you will, of going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the complete release order there. Hey, out of the movie, so this is our lighted up section. Okay, out of the movies that we saw, what's your favorite that we covered? Like, email us at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. We love to read which one's your favorite and why. Tell us your favorite and why of the ones that we reviewed so far, and we love to hear your opinions. Okay, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses, thanks again for listening to an official episode 189 of Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. You can find us on socials, Big T, Little T Podcast, Instagram, BLILT Podcast on Twitter, twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. and we want to give you stickers. We got some stickers to give away. So comment, tweet us, rate us on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review on Spotify. Go to Good Pods, give us a rating there. Drop us a question, give us a rating. We would love to send you stickers. There's so many ways to do that. And again, that's Big T Little T Podcast at gmail.com. Next week, or whenever we do this again, hopefully we'll talk about a little bit more about the MCU, maybe some Star Wars stuff. You never know. We got a little bit of time before Skeleton Crew drops, and we're excited for that kind of ramp up. So remember, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the force be with you always. Bye.
And it thrills me every time to say his name. Stand up wherever you are. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Sting!
What the hell's going on?
Look! It's Sting! Damn! What the hell? What an entrance!
Hey, look at me! I'll hit you right now! Strong arm tactics!
It's Sting! My God! Here he comes!
It can't be.
It's Sting! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Darby Allin and Sting! Oh my God! It's Sting! He's back from injury! He's back! And I think it's going to be maybe a bad ending for the Gun Club. It's Sting!
The hairs are standing up on the back of my neck, boys.
It's Sting!
Oh boy, the plot thickens.
Oh my God! Look at Jericho turn! Look at the snow! It's Sting! I love it! Listen to